and welcome to National Focus. I'm Adicia Burton. In the headlines, Caricom remains engaged in Haiti's situation. Dominica joins in 11-year commemoration of Hugo Chavez passing. And Dominica advances with preservation of endangered species. The details of the headline stories and more when we return.
Ride safe, wear a helmet, safer roads in the nature aisle. This message was brought to you by the government of the Commonwealth of Dominica.
Welcome back. Caricom heads are actively monitoring the situation in Haiti. The government there had declared a state of emergency after armed gangs freed thousands of dangerous inmates from the country's two biggest jails.
We've been meeting with the stakeholders of Haiti, the opposition parties, the private sector, civil society, President Ari as well. And the meetings have been going on very late at night. On Tuesday night, we ended at 12:45 in the morning, having discussions and consultations. Unfortunately, we have not been able to arrive at a consensus for the stakeholders on what the next step, what they would like to see happening, what are the processes they would like to follow. But we will continue to advance the discussion and dialogue with a view to finding a resolution to the situation in Haiti. Clearly, something has to be done. Clearly, there has to be some compromise on the various stakeholders. So we will continue the dialogue and the discussion over the next hours and days to help the Haitian people fashion a resolution.
Violence in Haiti has spiraled since the assassination of former President Jovenel Moise, with criminal gangs taking control of major parts of the country. Embattled acting Prime Minister Ariel Henry is currently out of state trying to salvage a plan to deploy foreign police to Haiti. Dominica joined the Venezuelan embassy this morning to commemorate 11 years since the passing of former President Hugo Chavez. The two countries established diplomatic relations in 1979 and has since provided mutual cooperation and support. Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerritt remembers Hugo Chavez as a dear friend who has contributed to the development of Dominica.
I remember several hours spent discussing the creation of Caricom, along with Fidel in Cuba, where we spent several hours discussing Caricom. And of course, we worked very closely on advancing the membership and the ideals of ALBA within Latin America and the Caribbean. And then, of course, we worked very closely in conceiving CELAC, when we felt that at the time the OAS construct was not addressing or focusing on the issues of our people.
Dominica is committed to the advancement of the Bolivarian Alliance for the Peoples of Our America, ALBA, Petrocarib, and the Community of Latin American and Caribbean States, CELAC. Prime Minister Skerritt reiterated his dedication to upholding the values and principles championed by Chavez.
The idea of CELAC really came from President Chavez and President Fidel Castro, who then shared this with the rest of us, and were able to support and advance the formation and creation of CELAC. But the reality is, on an ideological standpoint, President Chavez's ideological view of the world was similar to mine, and his inherent and intrinsic generosity, not only to the Venezuelan people, but to countries across the world, is unparalleled. And we are always forever grateful to President Chavez and the Venezuelan people. And I say to you, Ambassador, we stand in absolute solidarity with the Bolivarian Revolution.
Since 2000, Dominica has unwaveringly opposed the U.S.-imposed sanctions on Venezuela. Firmly against the use of sanctions as a diplomatic tool, Dominica upholds the principles of sovereign equality.
We call again and reiterate our call for the removal of all the sanctions on Venezuela and all the sanctions on Cuba and countries across the world. This is our firm position. And so we remember the life and legacy of President Chavez.
The late Hugo Chavez remains a symbol of dedication to social justice and equality. Chavez, during his time as the president of Venezuela, implemented various programs aimed at improving the lives of the country's marginalized populations.
He always highlighted the anti-imperialist character of the revolution in the face of the pretension of domination that today are expressed in more than 930 unilateral coercive measures, so-called sanctions, imposed on Venezuela by the government of the United States and the European Union, which seek to undermine the Bolivarian Revolution. Despite the siege, Chavez introduced mechanisms for dialogue, negotiation, and fair relations with North America and Europe without conditions, and recognizing the struggles of the people from those regions.
Greater strides are being made to preserve the exotic flora and fauna of Dominica as stakeholders convene for a national workshop on March 6 and 7 at Jungle Bay Resort and Spa. The national workshop will provide the technical support to develop a national legal framework and institutional guidelines for the implementation of the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species, CITES Convention. Project Coordinator Ms. Teshaya Jean-Baptiste provided an overview of the workshop.
The objectives of today is really and truly, today and tomorrow, this is a two-day workshop, 1.5 day, is to raise awareness of the benefits of developing national legislation for implementation of the convention, to discuss the legislative arrangements based on the specific resolution of the convention, providing guidance materials, and to receive feedback, to talk on existing challenges, provide some recommendations. Hopefully at the end of today's we can get some sort of recommendation on legislative and institutional guidelines moving forward.
Minister for the Environment, Honorable Kozia Frederick, stated progress on environmental preservation and the importance of the CITES Convention.
We are making some traction in being serious about the concept of what is Nature Isle, and also what is developing to be the first climate resilient country. And so we have ratified and signed on to the CITES Convention, importantly, and we from the conversations before me realize it's a very important convention as it relates to not only trading or moving these endangered species across borders, but also protecting them within that space. And so this workshop is very, very important. And as you're aware, and you're here for that particular reason, in listening to your utterances relating to your your expectations, it is very, very clear that you appreciate the importance of an endangered species and also acknowledgement of a critical convention moving forward.
Dominica is home to diverse biodiversity, which marks the significance of the convention to the Nature Isle.
Dominica happens to be a nature isle because of its geographical space, protection for more than 200 years of the Caricom during the colonial enterprise. And if you remember post-Hurricane Maria, nature was able to bounce back almost by itself. But it is the important key point in there is that what do we do as human beings, as custodians to this wonderful space? How do we create that space that's going to be a much better space for our children? We received that space from the ancestors who died and bled and struggled and fought. But what are we doing? And the CITES convention is important because we do have those endemic species that exist in our space.
Minister Frederick announced the various outcomes of the national workshop.
We expect that this workshop will provide a clear but also a shared understanding of the gaps that we have in implementing the CITES. So there are definitely gaps. And we have to be very real and very, very true to ourselves that we have to figure out ways to plug in those gaps. It will definitely provide a platform for discussions on the way forward to enhance our national legislation as it regards to the national action plans, and also really create proper references and timelines.
Multiple stakeholders supported implementation of the project in Dominica.
I really want to thank the Caricom Secretariat and CITES Secretariat for ensuring that there can be increased awareness across institutions in our country. It will definitely help us in developing adequate national legislation and to have a proper implementation of the CITES. I really want to thank also the European Union who has been a partner in this, especially because these sort of workshops and interactions are costly ventures. It costs some money to gather here today. You are giving up your time from your busy schedules, but also there's a financial resources that has to be garnered for this. So I'm very confident that at the end of this workshop, we will have, for those of us who already know, we'll have an additional understanding. And also for those of us who are new to this convention, the information will be just enough to guide us moving forward.
You're watching National Focus. More when we return.
I love the freedom when I'm out there. Simply put, the worries from shore, none of that out there. And it's my daily bread. I learned it from my dad. My dad is one of the senior guys here who catch the biggest fish around here. And he's top with the red snappers. It's a family thing. I'm the only one fishing right now in the family. Just keeping it going. I enjoy bringing them up, man. Sometimes we have a yellowfin tuna, 400 pounds. Man, let me tell you, that's just a joy out there. I enjoy going out there and just holding the big fish. I don't lift weights, I lift fish. The morning of my fishing trip, I would get up, make a little spice tea. Then I come down here. I have my GPS, which most fishermen are supposed to have that. Normally I prepare the day before, because whenever you go out there, you must have ice. Ice is a must for preservation of the fish. So I always make sure I have everything the day before. My fish represents me, and I bring good quality fish ashore simply because the restaurants themselves, they have to show a quality product. Tourism and agriculture go hand in hand. That's what I think. We're all connected. It's like a big machine, and I'm just so proud to be a part of it. My name is Brandon Carlisle, and tourism is my business.
Welcome back. Cultural Ambassador of Dominica and lead singer of the TK International, Wayne Mr. Benji Benjamin, has reported a notable increase in the playing of bouyon music.
During the carnival season 2024, we saw a greater rise in the play of bouyon music. Of course, being that the wider world now accepts bouyon a little more, and of course it has to do with, of course, the fact that the artists of Adicia Burton and the likes of TK International, along others, playing the major role in bouyon music. You see that there's a greater influx of listeners worldwide for bouyon music, and we saw the impact that it had during our carnival, that it was strictly bouyon music being played during our carnival, and it says a lot.
Bouyon music has recently peaked in popularity throughout the Caribbean and French markets thanks to the work of bands like TK International and a surge of new upcoming artists.
It's very important to Dominica, and not just the genre bouyon, but I believe artists plays a major role in promoting Dominica, and I think that's why the government saw it fit to appoint the likes of Adicia Burton and myself as cultural ambassadors, because when we step out as not just the artists, but we step out as Dominicans, and we play a major role in promoting Dominica and bringing people to our island. So I think the importance of bouyon music within the culture, within promoting Dominica, is big.
Recently back from performing in France, the band proudly promotes bouyon music, which is a major part of Dominica's culture.
Right after Carnival, the band embarked on a short tour. We went to St. Thomas, USVI, we went to St. Croix, and then we went over to Europe, which is France. We did 2 weeks over there in France, one for Montpellier Carnival, and then we were over in Paris for 2 other carnivals based over there in Paris. And again, the impact of bouyon music, we see that it have on the people over there, is just overwhelming. The band doesn't stop there. I mean, we just home for a short while. This weekend we head over to Antigua. Next week we're in Montserrat. And after that we're in Anguilla, back to the USVI and the US mainland. We have shows in Atlanta, Houston, New York, some stuff coming over in Canada and England.
TK International has contributed richly to the musical landscape in Dominica.
This year, TK International is celebrating 25 years into the entertainment business, and it has been a journey. I mean, a band started in Loda, Dominica, which is a cultural heritage site, and started with 3 members, Kendall, Keenan and Kurt, with only Kendall being the sole K remaining. In Triple K, you saw guys like myself, Joffrey Joseph, Froggy, Daniel Phillip, and a whole set of the other guys joining the band to make TK what it is today.
The band has shown resilience in the face of many obstacles.
The journey, it wasn't an easy one. It was a hard one to actually find people to accept you, and believe in your vision and what you want to do. And now, celebrating 25 years, we have been, worldwide. We have graced the stages in Belgium, in Holland, in London, and now Paris, France, and so on, and looking even to go further afield. So 25 years of TK International is not just a celebration for us, but a celebration for Dominica.
Greater investments in bouyon music shows the value of the genre to the country.
The Ministry of Tourism right now is putting a lot of emphasis, into the genre and helping more, the artists, the bands, to push the culture, to push the genre a little more. And we saw it in our carnival. We saw that 2024 carnival was a great success. And kudos to the DDA and the Ministry of Tourism for doing such a wonderful job. I mean, in everything, there will be, hiccups and so on, and then we'll fix things as we go along the road.
He offered these words of advice to aspiring artists.
Continue to work on your craft. You're going to find hurdles. Never give up, because if you give up, that means then you never really wanted to do it anyway. So giving up is not an option. You go on out, your craft, and find someone always who can advise you better in your craft. Do research. Research is important. And I'm always here for advice. So never give up on your dream.
TK International will host a concert in commemoration of their 25th anniversary later this year. United Kingdom's Minister for the Americas, Caribbean and Overseas Territories, His Excellency David Rutley, has pledged £190,000 of United Kingdom funding towards sustainable ocean management of Caricom countries. He made this announcement at the 46th regular meeting of the Caricom Heads of Government in Georgetown, Guyana. His Excellency David Rutley publicly declared the commitment of the United Kingdom. He says, "The UK and Caricom members are building on our modern partnership, and we are committed to working together to protect our natural environment. Our new funding will help Caricom states create and implement plans to conserve their unique marine environments for future generations, while also helping to boost their economies. This is part of our wider partnership, which supports regional security, deepening trade, and building resilient economies. Our collaboration will continue ahead of the UN's Small Island Developing States Summit in May. The funding will supplement the creation of a unified action plan that will allow Caribbean countries to benefit economically from their ocean resources in an environmentally friendly manner." Coming up next, the Creole News highlights with Jeno Jacob.
Bienvenue à ce nouvel Creole, nom M. Jeno Jacob. Jeudi, Dominique observé 11 années depuis président Venezuela, Hugo Chavez mort. Premier ministre Dominique Honorable Roosevelt Scary dit, président Chavez c'était un bon ami Dominique. Nous joignons à l'embassy Venezuela.
Comme ça, le président Chavez était un bon ami Dominique et a assisté nous à plusieurs manières. Et puis nous avons tenu à Tchenou. Et puis nous là pour remercier le peuple Venezuela, le gouvernement Venezuela. Et puis nous avons debout en solidarité puis le président Maduro et puis le peuple Venezuela. Comme ça, les États-Unis mettaient sanctions à ces Venezuela, nous pas qu'à supporter ça, nous avons créé les États-Unis pour tirer ces sanctions à ces Venezuela, puis pas qu'à faire cesse. So nous là, embassy Venezuela aujourd'hui là, pour nous dire peuple Venezuela nous et puis nous avons debout en solidarité puis.
Dr. General Joseph, un ingénieur qui a travaillé depuis CRID, dit qu'il y a autant d'autres travail pour faire après CRID. Dr. Joseph a parlé en une press conference en State House là hier. Climate Resilience Execution Agency for Dominica CRID, une agence qui a fait travail en résilience climatique en Dominique, fait même au l'office semaine là.
Nous avons autant d'autres pour faire. Et nous avons espéré les autres donneurs qui viennent Wendy Dominique, ça c'est un travail qui passe à fini. Parce que nous savons que la terre a changé, climate change pas qu'à les perscôté. Climate change c'est un bagage qui a continué. Avec autant de bagages avec climate change, nous pas même commencer à connaître comment ça a développer en peut-être 30 années. Vous savez, nous savons que climate change c'est un bagage qui a fait maintenant, qui a changé tout le temps, c'est un bagage dynamique. Comme ça, nous avons besoin les autres pays pour venir aider Dominique avec nous autant ces monde là qui trouver support votre creed avec ce travail creed là yo comment ça c'est vraiment un projet qui est vraiment important à Dominique.
Dr. Joseph dit résilience pas ça fait dominicain avec le gouvernement seulement.
Ça m'a dit tout c'est pas même seulement ces monde là qui t'a fait assistance là mais tout dominicain. Moi voulais connaître résilience c'est pas quelque chose pour seulement gouvernement catcher les comptes. Nous chaque comme dominicain, nous ni pour calculer en manière résilience. Nous ni pour travailler en manière résilience parce que nous tous ni pour venir ensemble pour assurer pays nous développer en manière résilience. Comme ça si on est en caille, ça c'est on ni pour calculer comment occuper caillou, comment éduquer les enfants pour connaître tout bagay ko Dominique, the environment, tout bagay c'est important pour résilience à pays nous.
Dr. Joseph dit, ambassadeur Francine Baron fait autant de travail.
C'est un chef qui est determination. Il connaît pour naviguer bagay diplomatique, pour faire toutes ces connexions à nous besoin comme petit pays. Parce que c'est pas seulement faire travail à Dominique, mais nous pouvons aussi dire toute la terre, ça nous a fait à Dominique, ça nous a réalisé à Dominique. So, c'est un monde qui a sorti à Dominique, il va parler pour Dominique, parler pour tous ces achievements-là nous fait en CREED pour cette année.
Et l'ambassadeur Francine Baron fait autant de monde connaître contre Dominique.
Autant de monde connaît contre Dominique, autant de monde connaît contre CREED, autant de monde connaît contre ça nous a fait, et autant de monde les vini, et aider Dominique pour continuer avec tout le travail ça là.
Dr. Joseph, car oui, merci CREED pour tout ça et apprendre.
Quand ingénieur nous avons fait ça, moi fait c'est autant bagaille comme project management. So quand que ça, moi actuellement moi c'est project manager of Housing Recovery Project. So CREED aide autant project pour mettre bagaille en place pour assurer tous ces projets ça là qui show résilience en d'ailleurs. Et bien manière nous faire ces projets là nous mettons en implementation phase ça ni bagaille qui a satisfait ces agences comme World Bank, les agences comme CDB, tout ça projet là so nous ça qui est more resilient ways of working. We have policy, we have toutes ces bagailles ça là. So moi parler anglais pour ça là mais où ça m'a dit oui. Oui, moi satisfait avec le travail là moi fait. Moi satisfait avec le travail là, avec résilience, et moi satisfait avec le travail là moi qui continuer pour faire pour pays moi Dominique.
Il y a un workshop pour formuler loi pour protéger les animaux Dominique pour place aujourd'hui. Nous parlons et puis Tissa Jean-Baptiste Hot-Saint-Lucie.
Je travaille et puis secrétariat Caricom qui est en headquarters Guyana. Nous ici pour 2 jours pour faire workshop et puis c'est mon Dominique. Nous avons discuté topics CITES Convention, ça qui a fait environment, c'est bêtes là, ces animaux. Nous voulons aider Dominique pour faire une national legislation qui a protect ces animaux, ces bêtes là, toutes ces forêts, écosystèmes en Dominique.
Ça c'est tout à ce nouvel en créole. Non, monsieur Geno Jacob, au revoir.
And that's all for this edition of National Focus. Be sure to follow GIS Dominica on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitter. You can also drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm. From all of us here on the GIS News production team, I am Adicia Burton. Thank you for watching.